Another week here at Sideline Sports. We got Jake down at the bottom, John, Blue Hawks 13 up top. Special guest, two-time Super Bowl champ with the New York Giants, Gary Reasons, joining us tonight. Good evening, Gary. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to be with you guys.
Thanks. We appreciate you taking some time to come out tonight. So we're talking a little bit before the show with you, and we knew you grew up in the Texas area, and I asked you, were you a Dallas Cowboy fan growing up? And you responded yes. I'll let everyone know that. So how did it feel to come to New York and do so well in New York? I mean, winning 2 Super Bowls, but having to play against your team twice a year.
Well, you understand where you get drafted. You don't have any choice in that, and you go, and hopefully it worked out, and it did for me with the Giants. And trust me, I love the Giants. I'm a Giants fan through and through all the way. But as I was a kiddo growing up here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, everything was Big Blue here. Dallas Cowboys this, Dallas Cowboys that. It was great Roger Staubach time, Danny White time, those kinds of teams, which really had some good success early on. Tom Landry, I've got good remembrances of him. And then when I started to get into the league is when they let Tom Landry go. So that kind of started the Jerry Jones era, which really is kind of hit or miss, however you want to look at that. But I was a Cowboy fan growing up. And, the way I tell people all the time is that they had a chance to draft me, and they just didn't do it. The Giants won. They got the draft pick. I think the Cowboys actually had a draft pick that went just after me and a linebacker, Steve Diassi, who wound up playing with the Giants and me on our team, got a Super Bowl championship ring for himself. So it all kind of worked out. But I'm here in the Dallas area now with what I do, and it's been I've been back in the Dallas-Fort Worth area since 2011, I think. So 11, 12 years here, and just enjoy being here. Love this is home with friends, and it's someplace that I really enjoy.
As long as you're still a Giants fan at heart right now, I'll take it. Because if you sat here and told me I played all these years for the Giants, I love my time there, but I'm still a Cowboys fan at heart, I would be a little hurt. I have to admit.
Yeah, last season, I contributed to WPIX out of New York as a weekly contributor for that show, and that was the first real time for me to kind of contribute as a broadcaster. I've been a broadcaster guy since I got out of the NFL in 1994.
Love it.
I started with ABC Sports and spent 4 years traveling the country there, and then I've been with Fox Sports and now Bally Sports for the last 22, 23 years. I'm a grizzled veteran in the broadcast world, which is pretty unique. But I've been involved in football for over 50 years.
Can't avoid it.
Well, yeah, I started playing football when I was 8 years old, and as a player, as a broadcaster, and I've even was the head coach of an arena football team, and you did a little coaching. So I've seen a lot of the angles around the sport, and I'm still a fan. I love it.
Yeah. So Gary, I was thinking about this before the show, and I forgot to bring it with me. I have a Lawrence Taylor jersey, and I was going to wear it specifically for the interview because I was like, oh, Gary played with Taylor, and among other greats, I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to wear, one of your former teammates' jerseys, and I totally forgot to grab it. But I got to ask you, are there any good LT stories that you can share? Because I'm sure I'm sure there's stories that you could tell us off air that are not appropriate.
I mean, you can share them if you really want to.
But are there any good ones that you can share for sure?
Well, I'll share this one. So, we used to go in training camp whenever we got down to one-a-days. Lawrence and I would find a golf course. Lawrence is a rabid golfer, and today he still plays a couple of rounds a day, every single day. He's always out there. He's got a cigar in his hand, and just enjoying life. But back then, he was a competitive golfer and tried to win and everything. And one time he hits a ball so darn far and so darn high, and it hit the tree line and kind of went a little bit far. And he called the plug rule on it for that. And I'm like, what the heck? The ball, you hit it out of bounds. And we had a little big argument about that. But I got him on the hole anyway. And but Lawrence is a competitor. And, anytime that you have someone like that on your team and with all the skills and abilities that Lawrence pulled together, he's the greatest of all time, the greatest defensive player in the history of the National Football League. And I got to play side by side with him for a long time in New York, and it was a pleasure. And whatever Lawrence did with his time off the field, that was his time. But when he was in the locker room, he was a teammate, and when he was on the field with us, he was doing everything that he could to win football games. And with his talents, we won a lot of football games.
What kind of teammate was he in the locker room? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because we don't really hear what kind of teammate he was. We kind of just hear what he was like off the field.
You hear about all his antics.
Yeah, fun-loving guy. Always he'll talk to anybody. He's not one of those guys that's kind of a snooty kind of guy. He just enjoys life, and you could tell if he had been a little tired the previous night and got in there a little bit bushy-eyed. But in our meeting room, guys used to wear hoodies in there all the time because it was a little cold in there, but I remember Lawrence he sat in the corner, had the hoodie pulled up, and when Belichick would click the lights off, I was kind of back there, and he just kind of got to go over like this.
All right. So another question about LT, because I love hearing stories from your perspective, because you don't get this stuff. And you mentioned he was a great teammate, so I got to ask this because this is a rumor. I've heard it. Everybody's heard it. And if you can't confirm it, you can't. But I got to know. Is it true that he sometimes would send a stripper to other teams, opposing players to tire them out? If you don't know, you don't know. Or if you can't admit that you know, that's okay. But I have to ask because it's such a wild story. And everything you hear about him, it seems real. But then you describe him as this great teammate. So I'm like, is it true? Would he really do something like that?
No, Lawrence would do, pretty much anything that he could to help the football team and win. So I can't confirm, but I can't deny, and I'm not going to implicate anyone here in that story. All right.
So, I'll take it.
But you know what? It sounds plausible that if you could tire out one of their horses, that might be.
It makes sense.
So you
Gary,
go on, JB.
So you were involved in some of the greatest plays, in probably the second Super Bowl you were in, right before the NFC Championship game. You were a great defensive player, but you also played on the punt team. When they called the fake punt, what were you thinking?
Are you talking about the NFC Championship game when I called
yes.
it fake? Yeah, I actually audibled to it on the field.
Wow.
So, and really what I saw was pretty clear. We had this fake punt in our arsenal for weeks. And then we practiced it again because the way that the San Francisco 49ers were able to, they covered punts. They went 6 up front, 2 doubles on the outside, and 1 returner in the back. So that makes 10, 11, right? So 6 guys in the box. Well, ultimately they had doubles out here, which means they should have 6 here, but they only had 5 players and 1 deep. So one guy actually didn't show up. They played with 10 players on that play. So luckily the hole that I was supposed to run through on this audible call was right where he was supposed to line up, which made it even much more of a gaping hole. And guys, you know this, I wasn't the fastest guy out there, but it was good enough to get me 30 yards. And I still hold the record, I think, for the longest, highest average per carry in the NFL playoffs. At 1 carry for 30 yards, which is pretty good. So
that's pretty good average.
Yeah. Anyway, sets up a field goal for us to go on and win this football game. So that's really the end of the story. But it was a cool thing. I actually walked by Parcells as I go out on the field, and he mumbled at me. He says, "Run it if it's there," and nobody knows what he's saying, but I do. And sure enough, it was there. But it was a good play, and happy to have pulled it off.
So you mentioned Belichick earlier. Can you
John,
talk to us a little bit about Belichick, and is there anything about Belichick we might not know? Any stories or any quirks or anything about Belichick that you can talk to us about? Give us a little something about.
It's a good question, John.
He's a closed door.
Yeah. A couple of things about Belichick. One is he hates to get his nose sunburned. He would wear a lot of white sun repellent on there and did it all through training camp. And you just think of Bill, and he's walking around, looks like he's got something on his face all the time, but it's because he didn't like that. And secondly, he hated for us to sit on our helmets. And so, hang on a sec, got a scam call coming in here.
Of course, gotta love it.
Yeah, we all get those damn things. Anyway, so he hated for us to sit on our helmets, and he had a rule: can't sit on helmets. This is when he was with the Giants. But when he went to the Browns after our last Super Bowl, and we had training camp with them, the first thing we all did was we lined up on the sideline. We had all of our helmets stacked up. We all sat down. and Bill, he basically said, "You MFs,
So with Belichick, I got a chance to interview Al Groh about a year and a half ago. And I asked him, I said, if you look at Belichick, he looks grumpy and just not happy. And, in real life, is he like that? And Al was like, no, he's a great guy. Now, as a player's perspective, because Al was with him in the coach's room, from a player, did you get that same side of him, or is he just like the way he is with the media?
Hey, we all understood that Bill burned the candle. He was always going to put all the hours in that he could to make us better and give us information and try to put a game plan in place that makes us, put us in a position to win and be successful on the field. That's what a coach's job is supposed to do. And Bill and still today, he's one of the most artful guys at putting a game plan together. He's kind of dry. He hasn't changed over the years whatsoever. What you see is what you get. Bill Parcells, I think he learned something largely from Parcells about how to run a team and really about communications outwardly outside of the building. And the rule is this, and this is a Parcells rule. He goes, guys, we are in the business of collecting information. We are not in the business of disseminating information. So just think about that. And when you think about Bill Belichick and how he's conducted himself with the media and players and everything else over the years, it all comes down to that single principle. We are not in the business of disseminating or giving out information. We're always in the collection business. So the more you know about your opponent and about situations gives you a better opportunity, one, to prepare for them. And so the biggest takeaway from me in the Belichick and Parcells era was really, just understanding how to prepare. Preparedness was what gives you the ability to succeed and when things are going perhaps a different way. And I've taken that and shaped that into life and into business. And I when I do some public speaking, I always talk about being prepared and going on and I have a little game plan to teach people how to be successful in anything that they do. And preparedness is certainly one of the key pillars of what that is. And Belichick is a master of that, and he continues to do that today.
So what did you take from Parcells, Belichick, and Groh? I mean, you had a great coaching staff with the Giants back then. When you coached the Arena League team for the two different seasons, what did you take from their coaching styles with you?
Yeah, all of it. I'm a chameleon. I literally had pulled everything that I could from every one of those guys. I talked to Al Groh on the phone. I didn't talk to Belichick, but I went down to Dallas. I was in Oklahoma City coaching that team, and I went down to Dallas and spent a day with Parcells when he was with the Cowboys then, and just trying to glean some insights and take away. Football's football. It's not a little different mix on the indoor game versus the outdoor game. But really, how do you deal with people? How do you deal with players? How do you deal with the media? Me being in the media myself, that's never been a problem or issue with me. So I probably usually don't put my foot in my mouth most of the time. So, but just to take things from each one of them, and that's what I would tell people on when I do speak to them in large groups, is that whenever you encounter someone, you want to take something away from that encounter, whether it's your first time meeting them and talking to them for the first time. Make sure that you gain something from that conversation, from that individual, because everyone has something to give or share. I don't care who they are, what they do. Everyone has that. If you go into every conversation or every situation that you have and you're a sponge and you're taking that in, you're just going to assimilate all that in your own way, but you're going to be more prepared and better for it.
Love that. So you played. We were talking about Lawrence Taylor before, but you also played with Carl Banks. I mean, you played with that linebacking core is probably one of the greatest linebacking cores in football history. So I wanted to know not only what did you learn from them, but just being on the field with them. What was that experience like? As a unit, what were you guys like? What was not just the off-field stuff, but how did it work on the field together? How was that?
Hey, Jake, it's okay to call us the best linebacker core of all time.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Carl and I came into the same year in 1984, and we kind of had the same path. Carl, number 1 draft pick, first round draft pick. I'm a 4th round draft pick. Parcells was really loyal to the veterans on the team, and so we didn't step right in and start. We had to kind of earn those starting rights, and Carl and I both did through camp and early in the season. We didn't start until the 6th week of our 1984 season, our first season together. Both of us started at the same time. We were playing against Atlanta, and then from there we stayed together with our linebacking group through three seasons. So our Super Bowl 21 victory in 1986 season, that we were it. We were the linebacking core. Plus we had Andy Head and Byron Hunt. Those guys also were very, very talented and skilled and able to do things. And Pepper came in along that in 1986 and perked us up a little bit more with his play. So we had a good group, and it's a good group that stayed together for a long time. And when you have those pillars, you don't have that in football now because of free agency and changes in contracts. But when we pulled those guys together, we had 22 to 25 players that played together 6-7 years. You don't get that anymore. Yeah. That is uncommon. So that is something that we built on, and Parcells was trying to build that team for long-term success. And when he left after our 90 season, he knew that we were getting a little long in the tooth, which means that we probably had kind of reached some of our better days, most of us. And so I raised my hand in that category, and those guys all talk about it too. You never know when your career is going to end or what's going to happen, but we played as long as we could with us, which is good as we could. And but we got a couple championships, and I think that was a great career, at least for me it was.
Yeah. When Scott Norwood was out there kicking what could have been the game-winning field goal, what were you thinking at that particular moment, and what was the feel like on the sidelines? Because that was as close as it could be to hitting, and as a Giant fan, it was amazing to watch.
I knew going on, we're trying to stop them coming down the field, and they get to where I think it was a 47-yard range, and that Scott was not a long field goal kicker, a long-range field goal kicker. So I kind of thought that was at the top of his range or close to it. And I was not on the field goal block team, so I'm on the sideline. I have nothing to do with that. And I can see guys up and down the sidelines, and I'm looking at them, and they're holding hands, they're praying. There's some guys are turned around, can't watch it. I'm just looking straight at it. I'm thinking, this guy's going to miss it. He's going to miss it. And sure enough, he did. So Scott Norwood was just took care of business the right way on that day.
I like
you
that.
Did that.
That was a slip up. Yeah.
That's the only time I've been a broadcaster and I've ever mispronounced a name. I apologize.
No, that's
so just the one last thing I want to ask you, Gary, besides your favorite sports movie, which is kind of the question of the day, but what do the Giants need to do to rebound to get where you guys were, to be perennial contenders and possibly back to the Super Bowl and Super Bowl champs again?
They got a long way to go. I mean, their offensive line last year, I think, was it just was never consistent enough to help out the run game as well as the passing game. It's hit or miss. They had guys in and out. They did not have the consistency there, and so it hurts them. So I think hopefully this year they're going to have a lot more consistent play. I'm not going to say they're going to be great. You don't have to be great, but you need to be consistent. And that way, a play caller can call plays that hopefully they feel like at least the offensive line can hold up in this situation and do some things. Saquon, God love him. He's played as hard as he can, but he's been injured, and that's not the guy you want to roll out there. Then the receiver core, it's getting there. It has some talent, and it needs to they need to make some plays. And I think that Daniel Jones is still a very capable quarterback. He's in my mind almost a dual threat type quarterback, and I think we need to expect him to use his legs a little bit more than perhaps what he has done over the last several years. But at this time, he's a leader. He's a guy that he's going to be remarkably better this year than I think he has the previous years, just from experience. The experience in the league, especially at the quarterback position, is definitely something that is going to be in his favor. So I think there's good things for the Giants. On the defensive side of the ball, they've got to be aggressive. They've got to just create havoc. They've got to make a plan of attack and stick to it, and they got to have each other's support. And the big plays are what are turning games around now in the National Football League. Whether it's tip passes, interceptions, fumbles, fumble recoveries, behind the line of scrimmage plays, those types of things are there. And so the key players, the big play guys, need to make those big plays. Parcells used to say it all the time. Our star players need to play like stars. They need to make plays when the opportunity presents itself, and they've got to find some guys that'll step up and take that role.
Well, Gary, I want to thank you for coming on. Before you go, what was your favorite sports movie of all time?
Man, I don't know. I like the Brian Piccolo story. I'm a football guy. Some of those tug at your heartstrings movies. Here in Texas, growing up playing Texas high school football, Friday Night Lights is a pretty cool story about what happened in Odessa Permian and all that good story out there. So yeah, I'd go with a couple of those. Obviously in the football genre, and even some of the comedy ones as well.
Well, we definitely appreciate you taking the time, Gary. Where can everybody find you if they're looking to find you?
Well, hey, I'm here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm a broadcaster now. I've still been doing that. I do college football in the fall, but in the my day-to-day business world, I'm a healthcare consultant. I actually have some solutions in the healthcare world that I work with employers, large employers, whether they're 100 employees or more, and I can add a couple of different solutions that are a la carte, that are add-ons, bolt-ons to their healthcare plans to provide better services and for their members, their employees, and better outcomes for their patients. And also, I can save significant revenue or monies for the company organization with these plans. Some of them are immediate hard dollar savings opportunities. So these are big win programs. So they can reach me at Gary@proathletesteam.com. My company is proathletesteam.com. Just take a look at it and give me a ring, and just drop me a note, and we'll be happy to get in touch with you. Gary@proathletesteam.com, and that's where I'm at, guys. And just enjoying life, and it's been a good ride for me, and I appreciate you having me on the show tonight.
Thanks for
Anytime,
joining us.
You're always welcome back, Gary.
Super Bowl champion Gary
Two-time.
Reasons.
And he's a giant and a former Giant. I mean, for me, that's
who's the guy behind the scenes that I can't see, but I hear his voice? Who is that? Is it?
That's Cool Jake. That's the Cool Jake.
All right, excuse you. I am the Cool
Sorry,
Jake.
I'm out of order.
Watch yourself.
Right.
I assume you're talking about our producer JT, or his name is also Jake. I'm assuming that's who you're talking about at the moment. Yeah, he helps us out on the back end, but yes.
Yes.
He has a face for radio.
You're real nice,
Wow.
John. You're a real nice guy. Look who's
That's
talking.
coming from John.
Yeah, really.
Now we're in trouble.
Yeah.
All right. What do you guys think about the Giants this year, huh? What do you guys?
You might let me. You want me to go first, Jake? Because I have one guy that I'd like to zero in on.
John,
and it's all about this play that he just
John, hold on.
didn't
John,
make.
you are Gary. I'd like to set the scene. John is a defender of when Brian Flores would sit Tua in his rookie season.
No,
so I'd like you to understand
go after,
that's who this kind of guy is.
I want to go after Kenny Galladay for that disgusting effort that he decided not to try even block a guy in their last preseason game, had a chance to block the defensive back, and he went up to block him, and then he stepped back and chose not to block the guy, and his running back got tackled. What kind of effort is that as a football player when you're a receiver and you're supposed to block, and instead of going up and making contact with the defensive back, you step back and you're like, I'm good. I'm making a business decision. This is preseason. I don't like that kind of effort. I don't want football players like that on my team. I don't care what you make. Get that guy out of here, because that is just cancer to the locker room, that type of effort, or that lack thereof. I don't care for that.
John. Strong words.
Well, in that situation, there's a thing that really transpires in today's game, and it's the coach's responsibility, but it's also the team leader's responsibility, and that's to set the level of expectations for this football team. Okay. And if that had not clearly been done with, that effort and that block or non-block, it certainly was addressed after that. That is not how you want to be conducted. Now, the guy just take a Galladay's probably thinking more, this is training camp. This is preseason. But and nobody really plays. Believe me, guys, it's hard to watch that stuff because preseason today these days they mean nothing. 53 or so spots are already predetermined of the team before they get to camp. 5 or 6 players. It's whether they're going to make it or not is really going to be it. But they bring in 80 plus, and it's kind of smoke and mirrors.
But you know how it is, Gary. Like back in your day, it was anybody could take your spot at any time. So you had to make sure you gave it your all. Now it's the complete opposite where it's like, well, I got a huge contract. I'm Kenny Galladay. And I got this basically guaranteed. So there's nothing the Giants can do. So I'm going to make a business decision. You can sit me all you want, but I'm still getting paid. Like, I don't know. I'm old school. I like your job is on the line. You better play hard. If you're on the field, you better give it 110%.
But then how could you be okay with benching your quarterback in the fourth quarter of a close game when he's a rookie?
Look,
that
was a
I didn't say
decision.
I was okay with benching Tua.
You did.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't say I was okay with benching my guy.
The integrity.
Please.
Oh, John. Oh, I've never been so disappointed.
If you're on
Gary,
the field, give 110%.
Gary, I am so sorry because I know for a fact he would argue tooth and nail about this, and apparently he wants to go back on
110% if you're on the field. If not, get off the field. That's
okay.
But yeah, I think the Giants.
Here's the thing, guys. In professional sports today, sure, there's guaranteed contracts, there's money issues, there's status, and there's position. Okay, but there's also a team, and you have to establish and set the level of expectation for that team to operate. I don't care if you are a third string offensive guard just trying to make the team or you're Lawrence Taylor. There's a level of expectation of how you conduct yourself within the teamwork of this. So, you've got to play, you've got to make effort. And, one thing that if you don't show effort, it shows that you don't want to play. There is the business side of it, which kind of gets in the way a lot of times now with marketing, with the free agency and the guaranteed dollars. But it's a hard thing to kind of manage. But the coaches that are successful, they're the ones that have the ears of the players, and they respond to those. And also the players in the locker room can handle those things as well and set the level of expectation to where they're going to be tough, physical. That's who they want to be, and just got to keep it and maintain it. Everybody's in on it. So hopefully they'll get it turned around.
Yeah, I definitely think the Giants are going in the right direction with the new coaching staff, with Dable. I like it. I think that they're going to be better than they were. I just I don't foresee them being a playoff team anytime soon.
I'm going to leave you guys with this thought. Okay, if all goes well, this is what they're trying to get. One of those right there.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
That's a mic drop if I've ever seen one.
What you're trying to So this is actually an exact replica of our Super Bowl 21 trophy. It's perfect. It's identical.
I love it so much.
This year for my birthday, I used to have a trophy for Super Bowl 21. The team gave it to us in Super Bowl 25. The Super Bowl 21 one actually disintegrated. It was in my game room in Houston, and it just kind of disintegrated. It fell apart.
Oh, that's wild.
This is a. I kind of do this when I'm on business calls. I'm here. These are my buddies up here. You can see Lawrence and LT and Harry. Oh, and by the way, we won a couple of these. So that's how it goes. So you call me to talk about some healthcare stuff. I'll show you the trophy. Okay.
I like that.
Guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
Have a great night.
Take care, fellas.
John, I can't believe that you sat here and acted like you did not. At one point or another, did not say that you supported the benching of Tua if it meant the team was going to win, because you and I both know that is a bold-faced lie.
I am
so disappointed.
Tua didn't. My point is, Tua didn't do anything wrong.
Hold on. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about.
Don't change your argument on the field.
Don't you dare change your argument.
Talking about 110% on the field. That Saul.
JB, you and I both know that he had previously said he supported the benching of Tua and he was okay with it.
Look, That's all I got to say. I don't even have to speak.
Look,
John,
Deb,
you have been caught
Deb,
red-handed.
I'm going
it
to
was
crush your
spoken for me.
face in the draft on Sunday. So
I
just
don't
be
care about that
prepared,
right now.
Deb. Be prepared because I'm going to crush your face in the draft. You can keep Derrick
Oh.
Henry, but the rest of the draft is John Shear and the Carolina Surgeons. So that's all.
Oh, John, nobody cares about fantasy at the moment.
I
because
do.
You got caught in a lie, and you can't admit that you messed up.
Look, we're talking about your Giants. We're talking about
You brought up
Kenny Galladay, that weak
You brought that up.
sauce, one of the weakest players I've ever seen in the NFL.
John.
This guy gives
Actually,
no
you brought him
effort.
up.
He
You
has
brought
no
that
heart.
up,
John,
No, I
this
know,
is
but we're
on
talking about
you.
the Giants, and unfortunately, I have to
John,
talk about that soft
you
pretzel that is
brought
Kenny
this upon
Galladay.
yourself, and you cannot admit
Hang
that
on.
you got caught.
Let the fan base have the conversation with John.
That's fine. There you go.
Look, there's no subject change. We're just talking about the G-Men.
Look, John, I just want you to admit that you got caught in a lie, and I'll be happy.
I don't lie. I tell the truth. By the way, the best football movie, Gridiron Gang, is the best all time.
You're wrong. You're
So,
absolutely
best
wrong.
movie of all
let's
time.
do real quick our favorite sports movies. Jake, you could start.
That's easy. I love a lot of movies. I'm a very big movie guy, but it's real simple. Keep it easy. Remember the Titans. That movie is
Great movie.
beautiful. It deals with racial issues, which I really appreciate the way that it's handled. I think that's a great message. I think it's just a phenomenal movie in and of itself. Great acting, great story. It pulls at your heartstrings. Everything about it is absolutely beautiful. Perfect movie. It is one of the few movies I will say is 10 out of 10 in my book.
You didn't.
There's not many.
You didn't choose Draft Day.
I like that movie, but I certainly don't like it as much as this.
I don't think it's as good as Remember the Titans.
No, I'm just messing. A lot of people hate
No.
Draft Day.
Draft Day is good. I think it's a
movie.
solid movie, but no.
All right, JB, what's your favorite? Are we doing favorite football or favorite sports?
I'm just doing favorite sports movie, and that just
Okay.
happens to be mine.
So go ahead, Joe.
No. You go right ahead.
It's my question. I'm going to go last. So.
Look, I have many. Well, I mean, basketball. My favorite is Coach Carter. That's my.
You
favorite
pick one, John.
Look,
pick
I have
one
so
movie.
many. I'm a.
I don't care.
Hard. I mean, I love
Oh.
42.
I just don't want to hear this. JB, what's your favorite sports movie? It's a very simple question. Pick one movie. I don't want one from each sport. I want one movie.
First, I'll preface it with there are so many good ones, but honestly, my favorite one that I can turn on anytime and watch got to be Rudy.
That's a great movie.
I think it's
I love Rudy.
overrated.
It's overrated.
And I think
It's
you're
about-
overrated.
A little
John.
overrated.
John, you are Rudy, John. You see that Sideline Sports logo? We're the Rudy of sports, man. You know?
Come on, you got to have that mentality.
It doesn't mean the movie's not a little overrated, just a little bit.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you another chance, John. What's your favorite sports movie? And do not give me one
It's a
person.
loaded gun. It's a loaded gun.
Just give me one. Just pick one.
Pick,
Man.
John.
You've had
favorite-
over a half hour to decide this.
Yeah, well, it's a loaded gun. Field of Dreams is my favorite baseball movie, so I have to go with Field
John?
of Dreams.
Okay,
Okay,
Field
there
of
you
Dreams.
go.
That's a very good
winner.
movie, and I appreciate the answer. There you go. That's all you had to do. Oh,
Wow.
I like
Easy.
this.
Easy there, Justin Fields.
Whoa.
Easy.
Wow.
Oh, and I prefer Justin Fields over Tua.
Oh, whoa, why?
Have you seen Tua play football?
Yeah, he
you
looks
seen-
really good.
No, he doesn't.
Why? Let's not even get into it.
He looks terrible.
All right. So what do we got on the agenda today?
I'll turn it to John. I think he's done a lot of talking tonight. I'd love to hear him talk more. Come on, what do you got?
What do we got on the agenda tonight, John?
Well, Jake, I'm surprised you didn't want to talk about Aaron Judge at all, since he.
Yeah, I mean, what's there to talk about? We talked about him like last week. I mean, look, he hit 50 home
tied
runs.
the record for most 50 home run seasons before turning, I think it was 31.
He's
Most
only
most
the 10th
50
player
home-
in history to have multiple 50 home run seasons. I know, he's amazing. What do you want to say?
And
At the end of
also
the
the
day-
third Yankee.
At the end of
He's
the
on
day,
pace
the
for
Yankees
63 right now.
the Yankees look like hot garbage, so there's not much to talk about. I think Aaron Judge-
Honestly, I just don't understand why you don't just walk him. Give him the Barry Bonds treatment.
They did last night. Last night
No,
he
they
got
gave a
walked.
home run to him.
John, let me finish. He got walked twice. with a man on second, and I think 2 outs both times. They walked him because first base was open so that he didn't hit a multi-run home run. That was on purpose. They eventually pitched to him, and he did hit a home run, yes, but they did pitch to him, I think, maybe twice. I think he had 4 at-bats. I think he got pitched to twice, and he only got, I think, the one hit last night was the home run, but he did get intentionally walked twice.
Yes.
So to your point, why they intentionally walk him? They did. They
used to do to Barry Bonds, where as soon as he stepped in the box, they gave the fingers, and he just walked right to first.
Are you really going to compare Aaron Judge to Barry Bonds, though?
No, I'm just saying,
I understand what you're trying to say.
If he's hitting
Barry Bonds is way better.
Why not just walk him and make nobody else on the Yankees is really beating you right now besides Judge. Seems like Judge is the one doing everything. So why not just say somebody else beat you?
Yeah, but why would you put a man on first?
Because when you play a sport, you have an ego. You think you're the best. You don't care who you're playing against, so you're not going to.
John, think about this for a second. If there's a man on second already, what's putting a man on first going to do? If there's 2 outs, nothing. There's now force at all bases. Okay, great. But if there's nobody on base, 2 outs, why would you put a man on first? Why would you risk putting a man on first? It doesn't make sense.
You're not giving up a home run to Aaron Judge.
But that's not the point. Because if you put the man on first, you can potentially score. Now, it's unlikely, but you never know. It happens. It could happen, as opposed to if there's a man on second already, if somebody gets a hit, a run is scoring, period, end of story. So having the man on first doesn't really change the odds of the run being scored because the run likely going to be scored is the
I
man
would
on
take
second.
my chances. Anybody else in that lineup that's not
Aaron
Judge.
I would not.
So you don't.
I don't think that's it's a smart risk. I don't think so.
You can't play sports, Judge, just giving up extra base runners.
You don't want to, but I mean, at that
he's
point,
not Barry Bonds.
At that point, you don't want to give up what's almost seems like these days a guaranteed home run to Judge because everybody, for some reason, pitches right down Broadway to him. I have no idea why, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm going to hit it 430 feet." I would just walk him.
Admittedly, I get your point, but if you put a base runner on, just if there wasn't one, it makes no sense. If there was one already, it's understandable at least.
He's not killing you with the speed. He's not.
Why would you give extra base runners to a Yankee?
Why would you give the Yankees an extra chance?
Right, with that lineup, why would you put extra guys on?
Because nobody else is taking care of business right now.
That's not true.
So why give them other opportunities? Why give them a chance to wake up, John? You've watched enough baseball.
I've always been of this mindset. If a guy's mashing home runs like that, just walk him. Force somebody else to beat you. If there's only one guy that's killing you.
Okay, but then hold on. What happens when somebody else does beat you?
Then
you look like an idiot.
That's a chance.
It's not. John, let me ask this. Let me ask this. You have Aaron Judge, solo shot. Anybody else, minimum 2-run home run. Which would you prefer?
I take my chances.
That's not what I asked you. Forget chances. Just a simple choice.
I'd take anything that Aaron Judge doesn't do.
Listen to me. You got a solo shot for Aaron Judge on this side, and you've got a multi-run home run on this side. Which do you choose? I don't care about
anybody else that's not Aaron Judge.
So you would choose multiple runs being scored.
Let them swing the bat. It's just like in basketball.
Stop. John, you're not answering the question.
I'm saying anything that Aaron Judge is doing,
there are two
I'm
outcomes.
Okay with.
John, there are 2 outcomes. I'm telling you 100% Aaron Judge will hit a home run. I'm telling you 100% whoever else is going to bat is going to hit a multi-run home run.
I'll take that.
Which do you choose? You'll take the multi-run home run.
I'll take the latter.
You'll take the multi-run home run.
Aaron Judge isn't beating me.
You will take the multi-run home run, yes or no?
Yep.
That is why you will never coach in sports,
Thanks.
John. Nobody.
It's just like in basketball, where I'm going to double Steph Curry.
Why would you choose to give up more runs? You're giving yourself a larger deficit.
I'm going to force somebody else from the three-point line who's open to shoot that ball instead of Steph Curry.
But that's not a risk that makes sense.
I'm going to take that every single time.
That's 2 different things, John. Because if LeBron or Steph scores the 3, 3 points is 3 points is 3 points. 3 points doesn't change. If it's a 2, it's still a 2. The points don't change. Whether I shoot it, you shoot it, LeBron, Steph, Clay, it doesn't matter.
The points are the lesser person shooting the ball.
But you're missing the point. Those points are standard. If Judge gets 1 run, that's 1. If you put Judge on base, it's 2. You've changed it. You've made the outcome worse.
Judge
so my point is,
me.
It's not about who it is, John. I'll put you at the plate and you're going to guarantee a home run versus me at the plate and it's going to be a 2-run home run. I would still choose
anybody else except Judge at that point.
That makes no sense though.
Thanks.
There's no reason for it. Why would you ever, if it's the bottom of the 9th and you're guaranteed one of the 2 outcomes, I would choose the 1-run outcome all day. All day. Why would you want extra runs to get scored, John?
I'm not letting Judge beat me.
But that's not the question.
That's all I care about whenever if I'm in athletics or whoever, just don't let Judge beat me.
John, nobody would say that. That is so beyond asinine. It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
That is how you lose games. That's what I'm hearing. You would rather lose a game. You'd rather risk losing a game.
Yes.
That is, you know what? JB, it makes sense. He's an O's fan. He's used to losing. He's accepted losing. We, as Yankee fans, we don't like losing. We're not used to losing. We don't accept losing. So we choose the logical outcome.
It's one thing if you got a 3-1 count on him, then you walk him. You don't throw a 3-1 fastball.
Don't throw a 3-2. He's going to destroy you.
But if you're playing, you're not going to walk a guy just to walk a guy. You don't give extra base runners. You don't want that lineup to wake up, John. Anybody in that lineup, 1 through 9, can beat you. You don't put any extra guys on base. You pitch.
Right. That's a simple fact. You would not do that. I understand your point is you don't want Judge to beat you. It's the principle of the person. I get what you're saying. But it doesn't make sense to take that risk ever because that's how you lose games. If you do that every single time in the game, think about it like this. You pitch to Judge 4 times, right? Let's say he goes 4 for 4 with 4 home runs, which is so beyond unlikely. You're down 4-0 to Judge. As opposed to you walk him all 4 times and somehow 4 home runs are hit. That's 8 runs. That is such a worse position to be in. I would rather come back from 4-0 than 8-0. I would rather be down 4 than 8. That's basically what you're saying, and I just don't understand. And you know what? The Angels won last night, and you know why they won? Because they played smart baseball. They played the right way in terms of when to walk him. They took the risk when there was nobody on base, so he had a solo shot, as opposed to with runners on base, if he hits 1 home run, at least a tie game, and ties may have changed, based on the final score, would be at least a tie game. Ties may have changed, they lose that game. I don't get it. I would love for you to try to explain.
By the way, Barry Bonds has 330. He had 333 intentional walks from age 37 on. That's the most that anybody's ever had in an entire career, and that was just from age 37 on. He ended his career with 688 intentional walks.
Yep.
Because he's Barry Bonds and he hit a lot of home runs. He's not the home run king.
I would love to know. I'd love to know how many of those were in, with no men on. How many times?
Tune in next week and I will have that information. Tune in next week and I will make sure I have that info.
I'll try it now, but I'm listening.
Listen, it's quite simple. Aaron Judge is not Barry Bonds. I could care less. John,
what do you mean you could care less? You're a Yankees fan.
You're ludicrous for even talking like that. Barry Bonds is in the top 5 baseball players of all time. Before and after, whatever supplements he was on.
4th all-time in WAR.
So Aaron Judge is a very good baseball player. Is he a top 5 player of all time? No.
No, I never said that.
So why would I intentionally walk at anybody?
Real quick, Barry Bonds has been intentionally walked with empty bases 41 times. That is the most by a long shot. And he was walked 75 times when there was just a runner on first base, which I still think is ridiculous. But regardless, my point is he was walked plenty. And most of the time, it wasn't to give an extra base runner. And I don't know how many outs. I don't know any of that.
So Jake,
there's a lot of stats I'm missing.
If he had a little over 100 collective intentional walks with empty bases and a guy on first, that means he had
I don't know if those are the collective stats.
That means he had over 500 walks with 2 guys
I don't
on
know
or
all the
bases
stats. So I'm
loaded.
just reading what I find.
No, I know. I'm just telling you. That means the rest of them, which is over 500, were with either 2 guys on or with the bases loaded.
I don't know how accurate
I
the
don't think
stats are.
I don't think that's accurate.
I don't know that it is.
If Jake told me 75 with first base with one
I'm
man
just trying
on,
to find all the stats here, John.
John, I don't think that's accurate.
just go by his numbers.
Again, I don't know how right they are. I'm just saying.
John,
I'm trying to
he's
find
already
this.
said he's looking. He doesn't know if it's accurate, John. We do know it's accurate that you're okay with benching your quarterback in the fourth quarter in a close game. That we do know is accurate.
At least I have a quarter. At least I have a quarterback.
Barely. I wouldn't call him a quarterback.
No, you don't.
No?
No, wow. That's why Tyrod Taylor was gonna get the job before he got hurt.
Honestly, Tyrod Taylor's a pretty solid quarterback. He's better than Tua. So what's your point? What's
You're
your point?
Winning games with Tyrod Taylor.
You're not winning games with Tua Tagovailoa. So what's your point?
You don't know that. You
really?
didn't see the very first play of the last preseason game.
Preseason matters now, really? What is preseason?
I'm just saying, like he's showing you some of the things that he could do.
Against who, John? Against who?
Just saying, it looked really dynamic.
So last year, Tua having 16 touchdowns and 10 interceptions is going to win you games. He didn't even break 3,000 yards. That's going to win you games. Come on, don't act like
same as Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts and him have identical passing stats, but people are higher on Jalen Hurts.
Okay, I'm not one of those people though. And actually, Jalen Hurts is better. He threw for more yards, by the way, but not the point.
But their stats are basically identical.
Again, I'm not as high on Jalen Hurts as everybody else, though. So I'm not them. I still think you're wrong. So what's your point?
I'm just saying they looked really good in limited action. Him and Tyreek Hill looked really,
that's great.
Really good.
But I've also seen
preseason.
I've also seen throws where Tua completely misses Tyreek Hill, and it's beyond painful to watch. So what's your excuse for that?
He had a perfect pass. How did he miss Tyreek Hill? He had a perfect pass rating in that game.
Did I say during games?
Okay.
I just said in general. I've seen it.
I'll mute both you guys. We're gonna talk about preseason and things that count and why Tua is the best. And if that's the case, the Broncos should be kicked out of the NFL. They gave up 9 yards rushing to every Bills running back except for the one who had 2 touchdowns. And that was because he had 2 touchdowns because he still averaged over 6 yards a carry. So take preseason, throw it out the window. We will see on September 11th what Tua has.
No, my point. It was not about the game. It's just like in that limited action, that looked really dynamic.
And John, you know what it means? Nothing.
So what was the limited action? Was it in the regular season?
I'm just saying, like they look.
You know, someone doesn't answer the question.
They've never played together.
Hey, John.
Right.
Let me tell you something.
Was it preseason?
Everybody looks good in preseason.
Preseason
means nothing. I'll give you a perfect example. The Cleveland Browns. I'm fairly certain about this. I'm gonna have to look this up. So let me preface this by saying I'm not 1,000% certain. I'm very, very certain on this though. The Cleveland Browns once went, I believe, 4-0 when they still did 4 games in the preseason.
Lions. You're thinking of the Lions.
Okay, but you know exactly where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Perfect preseason, and then no wins during the regular season. So my point is proven. It means
it's not
nothing.
About that. It's not about that.
Then what is it about?
The point of preseason is you watch to see the chemistry. You watch to see what these guys are doing together. Like how they're gelling. That's what I'm talking about.
But in
limited action,
when the Lions played, when the Lions were 4-0, their chemistry looked great. They looked beautiful. Everything looked great. They went 0-16, John. What's your point?
No, I remember that.
Jake, they're gelling.
They're gelling. And you know what's going to happen, John? They're going to stop gelling because it's preseason. It means nothing.
Nada.
It
Zip. Zilch.
Nothing.
All right. I mean, I'm just telling you, like
John, right now,
you looked really scary.
Aha! John. And you were wrong, John. It was the 2017 Browns.
Well, the Lions went 4-0 and then went.
But I was right. The Browns did it as well.
But I was talking about the
2017 Browns. But
because the Lions went 4-0.
My point is proven twice. 4-0 in the regular season. 0-16 in the regular season. Preseason proves to be nothing.
John,
nothing.
Question for you. Right now, is Miami beating the Bills in the AFC East?
They could.
Oh,
not they could. Not they could. Yes or no?
If the Dolphins' depth.
John Shear.
No.
Before you answer.
Would you like to let me finish?
No. John
okay.
Shear.
Thanks for asking
the journalist. John Shear, the journalist, explain to me why you think the Dolphins are going to win the AFC East.
If the offensive line depth holds up, which I've said before is the issue, that and the cornerback depth, if both of those things hold up for the Dolphins, they can compete with anybody in the AFC.
Why?
But those two things have to hold up.
Hold on. So let's say they hold up. What about them allows them to hold up with anybody? Please explain.
They have a top-tier defense. Can't argue that. They have a top-tier defense. And then the offense, all the weapons that they just added, and then you have a competent coach in Mike McDaniel.
So hold on. All I'm hearing is if Tua plays well, the offense can be good.
No, I said if the offensive line holds up.
But what you just said to me is we added players. So what that's saying is the offense can be good, but I don't have any proof that it will be good. I don't
know what, like I said, I don't know what Tua's gonna be because it's like I don't say a quarterback is elite based on 1 year. Like I got to see more of a sample size to say this guy's this.
John, what you're saying to me is a lot of ifs. And I don't believe in ifs. I believe in reality. I base my thoughts in what I know.
Well,
what I know to be true, and why the Dolphins would not win the division, which was the question, is because of how good the Bills are. The Bills have a top-tier defense. The Bills have one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. The Bills were just in the AFC Championship. Stephon Diggs is a great receiver.
No, the Bills were not in the AFC Championship.
Yes, they were.
They were 13 seconds away from the AFC Championship.
They were in the AFC Championship.
No. The Chiefs and the Bengals were.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Excuse me. You're right. Yes. I'm sorry. I apologize. Either way, my point is still proven that the Bills have proven a lot of things to me. Now, the Bills' biggest issue is running back. But even
they did get
with
Cook.
that, but even with that, forget that that's their issue, right? Does the Bills' offense score a lot of points? Yup. Is the Bills' offensive line great? Yup. Is the Bills' quarterback, Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league? Yup. I'm not saying what number he ranks. I'm just saying he's one of the best.
Right,
you can't dispute it. Is Stephon Diggs one of the best number one receivers in the league? Absolutely. Now, where he ranks can be debated, and that's fine. But we have that. What do the Dolphins have? Elite defense. Okay, so both teams have elite defense. 1-1. Elite number one receiver. I give it 2-2.
Right.
Elite quarterback. Bills. Not what's been proven. Bills. Elite offensive line. Bills. That's what I'm pointing out. You got 4-2 unproven things. Proven things. And running backs are also a wash because the Dolphins running backs can be very good. You have a guy like Raheem Mostert who could be very good, but they're both guys that don't play enough to know how good they will be over a full season. And point being,
and I said
Bills
this,
have more proven things why they will win.
I'm surprised you didn't mention, I guess because you're arguing for them, you did not mention that they lost Brian Dable. It's a huge loss.
But that falls into the if category, which is what I'm avoiding. How will they play without Brian Dable? We don't know. So I have to go based on only the things I know for certain. The Dolphins.
JB asked me how the Dolphins can win the division.
Right. But my point is, how can the Dolphins win the division? I understand the question. My point is, what do the Dolphins have versus what do the Bills have that we know has been proven? What are the proven facts and stats and points about these teams? The Bills have more for them. That is why the Bills win the division. Simply put, they have more proven. That is what I'm working in.
We're gonna
new coaches. I don't know. But there's more in fact that I can use for the Bills than the Dolphins. And that's why all of yours is hypotheticals and why I know the Dolphins aren't going to win because everything hinges on air.
Jake, I'm gonna cut you off there. I'm gonna say we're gonna start wrapping up. But join us next week.
we got 2 minutes.
As John tells us why Miami will go 17-0.
You're wearing the Miami shirt, though.
Why the Heat will go 82-0. Why the Carolina Panthers will not lose a game.
I'm not a Panthers fan.
You mean the Carolina Hurricanes?
It doesn't matter. Neither one of them's winning the Stanley Cup, so it doesn't matter. But they'll go 80-0. And
82.
The Orioles next season will win 162 games. So join us next week as John maps why all that's going to happen because you don't want to miss that episode.
No, of course not. JB, I'll turn it to you, sir. Just tell everyone where you can find it. Let's wrap this thing up.
So I want to give a big thanks to Gary Reasons taking some time joining us tonight. You can find me at JB_the program on Twitter. Sideline Sports every Tuesday night. Confidential coming up at 11. South Florida Tribune Wednesdays at 8. A lot of other places. I'm too tired to tell you about it. And I don't want to take away more time from Jake, but if it was John's time, I'd keep going. Go ahead.
John, make it quick.
Blue Hawks 13. All right, Jake, go on.
Wow, that was really quick. Wow. JB, we did a good job tiring him around. I'm proud of us. All right.
Hey, we only got a minute left.
That's fine. Hey, that's fine. I don't need a minute, but I'll take it. You guys can find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. Just look me up on any social media. That's my name. That's always where I am. As you see, scrolling across the bottom of your screen, our places are Instagram and Twitter is Sideline Sport 1. YouTube and Facebook is Sideline Sports. For Facebook, we have a group, the page, we have everything. Just look us up. DBTV, we are constantly, things are expanding there, so please check us out. It is us, the Sports Arena. So quick shout out to Eric and John, who obviously helps that. Sports Arena also on DBTV. Things are going great with that. Love that. Got to pay the bills with that. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TikTok. We are absolutely everywhere. We're covering all the sports. We are, as we like to say, the people's version of the four-letter word. You know what organization we're talking about. And on that note, everybody, have a good one, and we will see you next time.
Later.